Well, when Babylon destroyed Jerusalem and the temple and took all the prisoners in, it left Jerusalem in ruins and the temple. But a lot of the Babylonians took things, all the valuable gold and the silver things, out of the temple. And that's going to play an important part in the story, because even though Nebuchadnezzar had turned back to the Lord after the Lord tremendously humbled him, remember, he became like a beast, and then he turned to the Lord. Not so his grandson, Belshazzar. His grandson took over rule of the city. I guess Nebuchadnezzar got old or something, or died, I'm not sure. But Belshazzar was now in control of Babylon, and he was really wicked. And one night, he was having a drunken birthday party that lasted for days. And they were getting really drunk and having bad parties. And then Belshazzar got a great idea. He said, remember those cups, those goblets that were taken out of the temple in Jerusalem? We've got them stored somewhere here. Let's get those out and drink out of those. And so I think they were silver, or were they gold? I don't remember, sorry folks. But they took those goblets and they filled them with wine, and they were drinking and getting drunk and reveling, and it was going on all night and all the next day and all the next night. And God had just absolutely had it with Babylon and Belshazzar. So it says that while he was partying and drinking, he looked on the wall. All of a sudden, he saw a man's finger writing something on the wall. And he couldn't understand what the writing was, but it scared him so bad. I like this. It says in the King James Version, he was so scared. It says his knees smote one against the other. His knees were knocking. He didn't know what it said, so he called for one of his servants, and he said, do you know what this says? And the servant said, no, I don't. He said, but I know a fellow that does know what it says. And so he said, well, get him for me. And his name was Daniel. He was one of the captives that was brought in with the slaves. And Daniel said yes. Daniel knew the language. And he says, Belshazzar, this says, you are weighed in the balances and found wanting. In other words, you've been weighed on the scale and you don't weigh enough. He said, Belshazzar, you'll never be a 7. You're 6s all the way across the board. You'll never be a 7s, which is God's number. So anyway, that night, sure enough, Babylon fell. And it was taken over by Cyrus. And this was prophesied 700 years before Cyrus was even born. And Isaiah said that Cyrus was going to come up through the river, go through the 2-leaved gates. There was gates along each side of the river. He would go through 2-leaved gates, and he would come in and he would conquer Babylon. And sure enough, that night, Babylon fell. Oh, you see how these prophets, they knew what was coming. And they knew how bad Babylon was. But you know, you can read all about Babylon in the book of Revelation. You really can. You can read every little detail about Babylon. So I thought I'd let you know how horrible, horrible Babylon is. Okay, gonna leave it off there. Bye-bye.